Good morning, everybody. Cheers. You've made it through another week. Hopefully, you've been taking care of yourself and haven't succumbed to this problem. And I know I've talked to a lot of people over the last Donald Mickey Mouse. Cheer you up. A lot of people who have had all the symptoms but aren't testing positive, and a lot of encouraging things are starting to happen worldwide that I know you're probably not hearing much on TV. My friend Dr. Andreas Marx from Germany sent me a little piece that says, today the news media pointed out that the malaria drug remdesivir could be effective against COVID-19, as well as an old-fashioned antibacterial called a Z-Pak. That when you put the two of them together, really knock this thing out of your body. So I know the word will get out, and I know the frustration of a lot of us that when we heard about coronavirus, there was nothing to treat it. It was like you hear these stories of people suffering for 7 days. Well, now it looks like we have something. He went on to say about the use of what are called proteolytic enzymes, mass spectrum proteolytic enzymes. I've been using them myself as an anti-infective, as an anti-inflammation prep for years. I like one called Marcozymes that I get from Germany. He says this, proteolytic enzymes now have been proven to break down the protein mantle of the virus and deactivate it. People using blood thinner medications need to consult with their primary care physician first. But the word is out that proteolytic enzymes can actually put a halt to this. So trust me on this fact. Me being on the front line as a medical practitioner and the number of people that I come in contact with every day, because starting next week, we are cutting back our hours just to take a little ease off my staff. So we're cutting back 1 hour every day. We're going to go from 11 to 6 instead of 10 to 6 here in the office, and we're going to close on Saturdays. That doesn't mean I won't be in here on Saturday mornings by myself doing this show and being available during that time on Facebook Live to answer your questions, anything that might be on your mind. So today, as I previewed a lot of places, I have 4 new studies dealing with the coronavirus that I wanted to share. And it's all things you need to hear. Everything from, and we're going to finish up our why are bat viruses so deadly. I'm sure that question's been on your mind. Understanding how the coronavirus affects our kids and the potential of why don't they succumb so often. There's a new piece on COVID-19 for gastroenterologists and understanding that the gut health is so important, as I've done entire shows on. And another one about if you have some friends, this is the really scary part, some friends that might be in the battle of their life for cancer. How do you manage cancer care during something like this? And then we're also going to talk, and I'm going to start out with a piece that says, how do you understand your gut microbiome if you look at it one cell at a time? I'm going to fly through these. If you have any questions on any of these, by all means, give us a call here at the office. We'll be here today. This is our final Saturday for a little while until this thing goes a little bit away. So I'll be here today till 3. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to call our office here, 678-228-8900. As I start out every Saturday morning show for the last 20 plus years, Michael Josephson character counts. And this goes back a number of years. You can fill in the date because he says, tomorrow I turn, and in this case, 65. And it just doesn't seem right. Seems like yesterday when I was a young rebel with a potential. I know I should say wise and soothing things, but despite upbeat rhetoric about the advantages of advanced age, it's really the pits to observe my body deteriorate and see how old my friends look. And I hate realizing how much I've forgotten. But enough lamenting, or is it whining? I may not be smarter, but I am wiser. I know that everything changes, including me. I know that my dad was right when he told me, where there's a will, there's a way. I know it's really dumb to carry a grudge. And it's really hard to give one up. I know now the things I like to do least are often the things I need to do the most. I know it's easier to give advice than to take it. I know that neither the intensity of my feelings nor the certainty of my convictions is any assurance that I'm right. I know that until I translate my thoughts into actions, my great ideas and good intentions are like unlit candles. I know kindness is more important than cleverness. I know that it's not a sin to have an unexpressed thought and that there are really things that are better left unsaid. I know it's a lot easier to tear down than to build up. And I know that some people will just never like me. I know there's a big difference between what I have a right to do and what is right to do. And I know no matter whether I like it or not, I'll just keep getting older until I don't. And that's a lot worse. That's Michael Josephson. All right, let's get involved in this. Understanding the gut one cell at a time. New genomic sequencing techniques enables exploring gut microbiome one cell at a time. Why do I say this is so important? Here, me sitting here, Peachtree City, Georgia. There's a lot of people that say they fall into a category of being a high risk. Over 65, lung, diabetes, fill in the blanks. All of these types of individuals, and I'm over 65, at a higher risk. They need more support. In my humble opinion, going back to the times in school when I talked about gut microbiome health, and to this day I will stick by that those that would have the best gut health have the best defense against the coronavirus. Scientists have devised a novel single-cell genomic sequencing technique that enables detailed functional analysis of uncultured bacteria and identified bacterial responders in dietary fiber inulin in the gut microbiome. This technique is applied to predict the metabolic fermentation of dietary fibers based on the presence and ability of specific responders and could be exploited to improve human health in the future. How about now? This comes from a place called Waseda University. It was published in a journal called Microbiome, Single Cell Genomics, and it just basically says studies have shown that a way to promote the growth of beneficial microorganisms and modulate their composition for a healthy balance is to add certain forms of fiber, such as inulin. Why do I think our ultra probiotic is the best on the market? There's a lot of them out there. Why? Because we've managed to get the correct spectrum of organisms for gut health and added inulin, that form of fiber, right in there with it. Doesn't have to be taken as a separate prep. So it goes, out of the tens of trillions of microorganisms in the gut microbiome, it's been difficult to determine which and how microorganisms to respond to dietary fiber. Here's my takeaway message for you. We do a test called the Gut Zoomer, where we send a stool sample off, much like you see on TV for that Cologuard. Go, collect, and send. And it gives us a well-managed look at what's going on in your gut. So if you've had bloating, gas, occasional constipation, occasional diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, any of those, remember, you are at a higher risk. If you want to do something until we figure out all the details of what's going on, ultra probiotic once or twice a day. Start growing the correct forms with the correct food in it. It's not available online. It's for professional use only, and we have it here in the office. Just call our staff at 678-228-8900. New COVID-19 info for gastroenterologists and patients. A published paper today in the Clinical Gastroenterology and Hepatology by clinicians at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai outlines key information for gastroenterologists and patients with chronic digestive conditions and what they need to know about the coronavirus. Finally, medicine is coming to the table and saying, pay attention, primary care doctors. Pay attention to that person that is out in the tents on the front line, determining whether or not you need tested or not. A coronavirus is a particular concern for patients with inflammatory bowel disease who may take immunosuppression drugs as well. Think about this for a minute. Listen to the commercials you've seen on TV for all these biologics, injectables, and you see people show more of yourself, or you see the person's always looking for a bathroom, and you take this immune suppressive drug. Guess what? You better be overly concerned about the coronavirus. The paper was published in the journal. The American Gastroenterology Association provides clear guidance. Patients on immunosuppressive drugs for irritable bowel should continue to take their medication, but be very, 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 very careful. The risk of disease flare far outweighs the chance of contracting the coronavirus. This is a rapidly evolving area with new information emerging on a daily basis, says Ryan Ungaro, MD, professor of medicine at Icahn School of Medicine. It's important to keep the risks in perspective and stay up to date on current research and recommendations to provide the patients with the most accurate advice. Number one, use protective equipment. Number two, COVID patients may complain of gastrointestinal symptoms such as nausea and diarrhea. They will. That's why, dear gastroenterologists, get off your butts and start to recognize the role that probiotics play in your field. Laboratory findings on COVID patients include liver function test abnormalities. Support the liver on a regular basis. There's much more that will be coming on that fact. Support your gut health. Story number 3, how to manage cancer care during COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sharing this with you because it just came out from Seattle Cancer Care Alliance. It's just some simple tips that if you know of somebody that's battling cancer, that they're home, they're on some immune suppressor or some breast cancer drug recovery like Ibrance, can you support them? Can you go visit them? Experts from the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, a member of Institutions of National Comprehensive Cancer Network, are sharing insights and advice on how to continue providing optimal cancer care during the novel coronavirus pandemic. Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center and the University of Washington, which are located in the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the state of Washington, responding quickly and confidently to the COVID-19 crisis is the healthcare challenge of our generation, said co-author Mark Stewart. Our overreaching goal is to keep our cancer patients and staff safe while continuing to provide compassionate, high-quality care under circumstances we've never had to face before. We're working round the clock to develop new guidelines and policies to address situations that we couldn't have imagined several weeks ago. When the pandemic ends, we'll be proud of what we did for our patients and each other in this critical moment for humanity. The COVID-19 pandemic is impacting every facet of our global and domestic society and healthcare systems in unprecedented fashion, said Robert Carlson, MD. People with cancer appear to be at increased risk of COVID-19, and their outcomes are worse than individuals without cancer. This is the point where oncology should say, what are you doing to support yourself, dear cancer patient? No, you can't take any supplements at all during the course of your treatment. Wrong. If nothing more, look at the research work that's been done on Avamar Ultra and to support yourself during the course of that. There's all kinds of things that can be done under the auspices of somebody trained, as I did, in oncology early on. The article stresses the importance of keeping channels of communication open between administration and staff, patients, caregivers, general public. They recommend forming an incident command structure, and they go on and on, putting more people in charge. Listen. Let the patient have some natural support. Story number 4. Understanding how COVID-19 affects children, vital to slowing the pandemic. Although COVID-19 so far appears to be largely sparing children, researchers are cautioning that it's critical to understand how the virus affects kids to model the pandemic accurately, limit the disease spread, and ensure the youngest patients get the care they need. The warning comes from Stephen Zeiker, head of the University of Virginia Health Division of Pediatric Infectious Disease. They have authored a commentary in the Journal of Pediatrics. Many infectious diseases affect children differently than adults, and understanding those differences can yield important insights. This will likely be true for the coronavirus, as it was for older infectious disease. Zeiker and Dr. Cruz note that there are subgroups of children who appear to be at a greater risk of COVID-19 complications. Particularly, this is the heads up that you need to hear, those that are younger, immunocompromised, or have any pulmonary health problems, asthma, bronchitis, etc. However, the presence of other viral infections in up to 2/3 of childhood coronavirus cases makes it very difficult to assess the true effect of coronavirus on children. While much remains unknown, Dr. Cruz and Zeiker caution that children, even asymptomatic children, could play a major role in disease transmission. For example, they cite a study that found viruses remain in the children's stool for several weeks after diagnosis, which is why we're keeping the kids home, folks. That, combined with other routes of transmission, such as nasal secretions, could pose a major challenge for schools, daycare centers, and the children's families. Since many children affected with COVID-19 appear to have mild symptoms or even no symptoms at all, it's important to practice all the social distancing, hygiene, and other precautions being recommended by public health authorities to minimize transmission from children to others, including family members who may be at a greater risk of the infection, such as grandparents or family members with chronic medical conditions. In addition, studying the reasons why children are affected differently than adults by the infection may yield insights that can be helpful in understanding the disease and the way to treat or prevent it. Something to sterility that they're thinking. And lastly, this is a question that many of you may have on your mind. Coronavirus outbreak raises the question, why are bat viruses so deadly? I haven't heard this anywhere else. This is from the University of California, Berkeley. It's no coincidence that some of the worst viral disease outbreaks in recent years, SARS, MERS, Ebola, Marburg, and now the coronavirus, originated in bats. A new University of California, Berkeley study finds that bats' fierce immune response to viruses could drive viruses to replicate faster, so that when they jump to mammals with average immune systems, such as humans, the viruses wreak deadly havoc. Some bats, including those to be known to be the original source of human infections, have been shown to host immune systems that are perpetually primed to mount defenses against viruses. Viral infection in these bats leads to a swift response that walls the viruses out of cells. While this may protect the bats from getting infected themselves with high viral loads, it encourages these viruses to reproduce more quickly within a host before a defense can be mounted. So they seem to be like a petri dish where the viruses start. The bats have such an immense immune system that we start to get the replication of the virus at such a high rate. It's trying to get after the bat, but it can't. And then when it got transmitted to us, it's in supercharged mode. Some bats are able to mount this robust antiviral response, but also balance it with an anti-inflammation response, said Kara Brook. Our immune system would generate widespread inflammation if attempting this same antiviral strategy, but bats appear uniquely suited to avoid the threat of immunopathology. The researchers note that disrupting the bat habitat appears to stress the animals and make them shed even more viruses in their saliva, urine, and feces that can affect all of us. Heightened environmental threats to bats may add to the threat of zoonosis, said Brooks, who works with bat monitoring programs. The bottom line is bats are potentially special when it comes to hosting viruses, said Mike Boots, disease ecologist at UC Berkeley. It's not random that a lot of these viruses are coming from bats. Bats are not even that closely related to us, so we would not expect them to host many human viruses. But this work demonstrates how bat immune systems could drive the virulence that overcomes us. New study by Brooks Boots and their colleagues was published this month in the journal called eLife. As the only flying mammal, bats elevate their metabolic rates in flight to a level that doubles that achieved by similarly sized rodents when running. Generally, vigorous physical activity and high metabolic rates lead to higher tissue damage due to an accumulation of reactive molecules, free radicals. But to enable flight, bats seem to have developed physiological mechanisms to efficiently mop up these destructive molecules. This has a side benefit of efficiently mopping up damaged molecules produced by inflammation of any cause, which may explain the bat's uniquely long lifespan. This rapid tampering down of inflammation may also have another perk: tamping down inflammation related to antiviral immune response. One key trick of many bats' immune systems is the hair trigger release of signaling molecules called interferon alpha, which tells other cells to man the battle stations before the virus invades. Brooke was curious how bats' rapid immune response affects the evolution of viruses they host. So she conducted experiments on cultured cells from 2 bats as a control and 1 monkey. One bat, the Egyptian fruit bat, a natural host of the Marburg virus, requires a direct viral attack before transcribing. This is getting boring, but challenged by viruses mimicking Ebola and Marburg, the different responses of these cell lines were striking. It just goes on and on. It says, think of viruses as a cell monolayer, like fire burning through a forest. Some of the communities and cells have emergency blankets, and the fire whooshes through them without harming them. But at the end of the day, you still have the smoldering coals in the system. There are still some viral cells. The surviving community of cells can reproduce, providing new targets for the virus and setting up a smoldering infection that persists across a bat's lifespan. This suggests that having a really robust interferon system can help these viruses persist within the host. When you have a higher immune response, you get these cells that are protected from infection. The researchers noted that many of the bat viruses jump to humans through animal intermediary. SARS got to humans through the Asian palm civet, MERS via camels, Ebola via gorilla and chimpanzees, Nipah via pigs, Hendra via horses, and Marburg through African green monkeys. Nonetheless, these viruses still remain extremely virulent and deadly upon making the final jump into humans. Brooke and Boots are designing more formal model disease evolution within bats in order to better understand the virus spillover. So, bats have a way of keeping inflammation at bay. Would it not make sense for each and every one of us to mount an anti-inflammation protocol in your body? I've said before, starting out with lemon and lemon water, crucial first step. Hydration. Keep the body's fluid levels going. Buffered vitamin C at a high enough dose, vitamin D at a high enough dose, probiotics at a high enough dose, something to boost your immune system. We have a number of tools that we can use for that. Having an antiviral type like Oscillio or Guna Flu on hand just in case. Not sitting back doing nothing. If you need help and you want to set up a protocol for you and your family, this is your chance to do it. In response to the numerous people who have said, hey, I'd love to right now, but we're going through a financial crisis. Aren't we all? For the next couple of weeks, we're going to be offering 50% off the consulting time here at the office, whether you're an existing client or new. So this is your opportunity to not only save, but make that first step toward better health. You can find details on our website at thenutritionshop.net, thenutritionshop.net, or call our staff and set up a time. Mention you heard that on this YouTube video or on our Facebook page. 678-228-8900. And praying every day for the health and vibrancy of our staff here so we can stay open to serve you. Yes, next week we're cutting back a little bit, but we'll be here for you. And you can always reach us via phone or internet. Zoom Internet's the best way that we've been doing this with patients. You have questions or comments, call and ask, please. And we look forward to serving you each and every day. I'll be back on YouTube every day next week at noon. And we look forward to serving you then. God bless you, folks. And I will see you back. Have a blessed weekend. Stay safe. Listen to this information again. If you have questions, give us a call, 678-228-8900. God bless.